I'm going to pass it over to Andy Alexis. Andy, I'm going to read a question here that's regarding installation that maybe you can address as you go through.
Okay.
The question is, my installation went fine, but when I try to import the EMFAC default database, I get the error invalid argument, and the import never goes any further. Is this a common problem? If so, how do I fix it? And she's tried uninstalling and reinstalling several times. So maybe that's something you can
we'll probably have to get back to you on that. That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, maybe we can
yeah, Hong Lu. Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. Okay. I'm Andy Alexis. I'm on the EMFAC programming team. I'm talking about two things. First of all, the installation of EMFAC 2014, and then we're going to do a real quick run through of the default activity emissions mode. So as Sam and Kathy both mentioned, the EMFAC 2014 architecture is basically the program is written in Python with and Python calls MySQL. MySQL does all of the data storage and most of the calculations. So to do that, we need to install both MySQL and the EMFAC core programs. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the system requirements, installation steps, and then how you configure it. First of all, the system requirements are basically, most of us here have 4-year-old computers. So if you have a computer that's made within the last 4 years, you should be good to go. Windows 7 or higher. We don't have any Windows 8 machines here, or Windows 10, which is coming out at the end of next month. So we can't tell you for sure that it works on that, but it probably will. It's we did it all with 64-bit operating system. 64 bits allows you to address more than 4 gigabytes of memory, or is it 8 gigabytes? Anyways, a lot more memory, so you want to have that anyways. Hard disk space, if you're just doing your local area, probably 50 gigabytes will be fine. If for some reason you want to do the whole state, you're going to need a lot of hard disk space, just because the data storage requirements. We designed the program so that the temporary databases won't use all your space. The installed memory we all have is 4 gigabytes. That's pretty standard these days. We have not tested this with Moves. Moves has a similar architecture as EMFAC 2014. It's based on a Java language, and it calls MySQL. Moves has a particular MySQL configuration, and there may be issues. We haven't really tested it. Here in California, we don't use Moves anyways. So installation steps. First of all, we need to download and install MySQL. Then we need to download and install EMFAC 2014, and then configure 2014. The EMFAC, or the MySQL community server, is free. There's other versions on the website that are not free. I'll just show you how you find it. Here's the MySQL website. You see the Enterprise Edition, that's not what you want. Way down at the bottom, the free edition, the community edition. And you want the community server, and you have to keep on clicking. We want the installer right there, and then you have to click again. You want this. You can download all of the files all at once, or have it download it for you. And then again, it tries to get you to register. You say, no thanks, just start my download, and it will download for you. You click on this, and I think I will do that. I'm not going to actually install it on this computer. Your screen will go blank a couple times while it asks your permission, and hopefully I don't ruin our installation for the rest of this webinar here. I don't think so. but then again, maybe we won't wait. Okay, we're not going to wait for that. You can do that yourself. I will go through the steps, though. You install the 64-bit edition, server only. If you want all the developer tools, well, go for it, but all you need is the server only installation. One important thing is you have to establish the root password. Now, when they say root in here, basically that means the person who controls the MySQL server. So that's the user ID would be root. And remember that password. I have had cases in the distant past where people have forgotten, people including me have forgotten their local password, and it's a bit of a hassle to get that reset. You don't have to use a password if you don't want to. If you also can use a server run by somebody else, that'll work. The elapsed time is about 10 minutes. So that's downloading MySQL. You download EMFAC2014 from this right here, and I will show you right there, the installation package. You just click on it, and you get this, and you can see I've downloaded it before here with the two. You extract the downloaded exe to the folder of your choice. This doesn't have to go through the normal installation like a lot of programs like Microsoft Office. It's basically just a directory full of files. It takes about 4 minutes to install it. Let me see if this is done here. Maybe I'll just show you how you do that. It's in downloads and it's right here. You can see we've done this a number of times. This is the way I do it. WinZip, extract to here. And then you get a big folder with everything in it. So from here, I'm going to show you how to run it. From here, you're ready to configure EMFAC. You do that. I put it on my desktop. With all these files, the only one you really need here is EMFAC. It says application. You can create a shortcut for it and then put it on your desktop like I've already done. Let's see. Here we go. And oh, you know what? We don't need to run it again. It's already running. Here we go. That's once you have it configured, that's what it looks like. So I'll show you the, yeah, see, it complains if you try and run it twice. First of all, I'm going to go show you the screenshots for these. First of all, you get a screen that says Launch MySQL Configurator. You provide the MySQL information. You click Test, then Save, then you restart it again, and then you click Import Default EMFAC default database, and you restart again, and then you're ready to go. So this is the first screen. The first time after you extract it, you say Launch MySQL Configurator. I've blown up the little EMFAC window. Now this has the MySQL installation on your local computer. The techie talk is that the host is the address 127.0.0.1 means your own computer. You can also type one word localhost, and that'll mean the same thing. That should be already pre-configured. The port, don't mess with that. The username is root, and the password is whatever you told it. So then you click Test and then Save, and then you get this screen right here. The default database needs to be updated. Import EMFAC default database. And this part takes a little bit. You're importing several different databases. One's the default, and the other is some pre-configured activity databases to save you some time in running the program. So anyways, that's the installation, and I think I'll charge ahead and go into the default. Once you start the program, this is the home screen, start a new run. You can see you can choose your run mode as emission rates or emissions. For emissions, your choice are default activity, which I'm going to talk about, custom activity, which Nesamani is going to talk about. So from here, you click Start. This has the wizard interface, just like you're familiar with most programs. The first thing you choose is the area. Now, like Kathy said, the basic geographic unit of EMFAC is the sub-area. Now, one thing you don't really need to know, but sometimes we will slip and call them GAIs, which stands for Geographic Area Identifier. Each one of these, there's a table in the database that assigns a number to each one of these from 1 to 69, and that is the GAI. So GAI and sub-area are really synonyms. You can hold down the control key and select non-consecutive ones. You can hold down the shift key and select a number of them, so you can select as many as you want. However, this version of EMFAC will only run one area type at a time. We are working on a batch processor whose will be done, we don't know when, but we are working on it, so you'll be able to run several different area types or seasons at one time. Now you notice where it says sub-area, there's a drop-down box. You can, there's other options, air basin district, MPOs. If you're an MPO, you know what these stand for. If you're not, then if you don't know what they stand for, you probably don't need them. Air basin, we're going to pick Lake Tahoe because there's only 2 sub areas in it. For the next part of the wizard is time. You choose the calendar year. We're going to pick 2030. And we're going to pick annual. Here you can choose the aggregation level, day or hour. The next button will get you vehicle class. You notice that the vehicle classes are not pre-selected. You have to click select all. You can aggregate it by model year or not, or by fuel or by speed. And then the final screen is the output. Output by process, by cat, non-cat, and splitting the output. Now, this brings up an important question. The question, really, why you would want to do default emissions mode on your standalone EMFAC2014? Well, you'd want to do it if you want the emissions by hour, which you cannot get on the web database. If you want output by cat, non-cat, and you can do process on the web database. Basically, if you want the detail, you would run it on your local computer. It generates comma-separated value text files, and you import those into your database. Now, one important button here, save data here. Save data from this run for the future use. This saves the type of run you did. And when it runs it, it saves a copy of the data internally. So if you, for some reason, need to run it again, it just grabs that and spits it out to you right away. Otherwise, this version, the default activity will take about 5 minutes per sub-area and calendar year. So for this run, for example, I chose Lake Tahoe, which has 2 sub-areas and 1 calendar year. That would otherwise take about 10 minutes. Now, I've already done that. And hopefully the data is still there. And when I run this, it will take only about it'll only take a couple minutes. Now, one screen I personally like a lot here is what's called the console here, with a lot of possibly strange messages. But one benefit of it is it tells you how long it's running, it tells you what it's doing, and it also if you have a big run, you can also tell it is still working, isn't just hung up. So at this point, we click Run. It prompts us to save the run spec, and you can run these again if you'd like. You say Save. You can select the output file directory. Let's put this in a different place here. Let's put this on the desktop, so we can throw them away later. And then from here it says Run. And you see you get a little running. This is what it says here. Generating activity, 3 seconds on that. And it already, and you see this is just done in just a flash of time. It's because I had already done this. Otherwise, it'll take you 10 minutes the first time. You have these CSV files here, and you can open these if they're under 1 million lines with Excel. You can import them into Access or MySQL. And here's your data here, right here. We just chose a very simple run here. So this is the default activity mode here. Oh, and this is the same chart Kathy showed. We are in the default mode, default inventory. We've gone over this in the demonstration. So that's it for my part of this webinar. We'll take some questions
I think
on installation and default activity mode.
I think before we go into it, I noticed several people asking about, do we need to install the package? Again, this webinar is going to be recorded and posted online, so don't worry about if you miss part of this. And we know there's a lot to digest and to find out what EMFAC can do. But don't worry, we're going to post the webinar, and there's plenty of other documentations and users guides to help you how to find out how to use EMFAC. So
we'll have video. This video will break it up into the different parts because most people will only use one type of mode of this program. We'll have the user's guide. We spent a lot of time on that, and the technical guide, which gets you into the scientific nitty-gritty of how they're calculated. So do we have any questions here? We've got
yes, we have a. So do you want
Yeah.
to start with the questions?
Yeah.
So let's have 5 minutes. So Amir Fanai, could you confirm or otherwise that the official GHG inventory does not have county or regional level estimates?
Yeah, my understanding, the greenhouse gas inventory is currently a statewide inventory.
We have some technical questions. I guess Lane Garcia, I guess we answered your question regarding whether you need to install the package before the webinar. This webinar will be posted online in our website. Can I run? So we have another question from Megan Filder. Can I run EMFAC2014 on a Mac?
Unfortunately, no. We only have a Windows release at this time. Yeah, but since it's based on Python, MySQL is conceptually platform independent. So we will see if we can get some.
They could I know some Mac users can do Windows as a virtual machine, and that would probably work.
Yeah, if you have to run it on a Mac, then for now that's probably the only solution. You run virtual Windows on your Mac.
Now the part of the reason for this is I don't think anybody explained this. Part of our code of this is based on the old EMFAC emission rates. A small part of it, and that is run in a very specific Windows-based Fortran compiler. And I think we will be moving away from that for the next version. And so that's a possibility. We do have some of our modelers working on adapting this through some great effort for Linux, but probably that will just be available for them.
Okay, thanks, Andy. We have a question from Keong Tran. I hope I spell your name correctly. Can I get output by day after week?
Well, yeah, EMFAC is currently an average day model. So that's, at this point, yeah, we're pretty much limited to average day of week.
There's another question from Gina Schmidt. How do you get the command prompt window to display during the run?
Oh, well, it's hiding behind the main window. It's not it's a console. You're right, it is a command prompt. You can't actually type any commands in it, but it hides behind the main GUI. And some of the earlier draft versions had this had this made invisible. But personally, I like knowing what's going on.
So another question from Amir Fanai. Does the model take longer to run if you choose to save the run for future use?
No. Now, you guys can correct me. It'll take longer if, for example, you choose a lot of detail, like by hour, correct?
Yeah, so that's right. But for the saving option, what you will do, it doesn't matter if you choose to save or not in terms of runtime, but you will affect the future runtime if the system detect that one of the future runs is actually already saved, it can be reused. So that will reduce the runtime.
Now, where this is really useful, not so much in the default, where the most of what you're going to be doing is going to be the same every time, but for what Nesamani is talking in the custom activity, if you have a lot of what-if scenarios with different VMTs for vehicle types, then that'll save you a lot of time.
So Amir, it seems you couldn't hear Hong's answer. So basically, to save, if you click on the save run for the future use, it will not affect your current runtime, basically the time that is taking for that run. Or for future use, if you're selecting the same type of scenario or subset of that scenario, it will run much faster since it's going to use the saved data. Okay, there's another question from James Cho. Is there any way to view the default database? Yes, if you have a MySQL workbench, or if you're an experienced MySQL user, within the MySQL you can see the EMFAC default database, and over there you can have access to the tables and input data.
I'll show you real quickly. I think you have to install the developer mode. So why isn't?
Yeah, just click on the MySQL.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know why it's not coming up, but yeah, if you click on the MySQL Workbench, which is this icon at the bottom, then at some point in the next century it'll come up. You can also, here we go. You can also get it from the command prompt. I'll just show you. If you have the skills to deal with MySQL, then there's a lot of power. Here's the default database right here. All the tables are in here. You'll see there's a whole ton of them. And there's other database. EMFAC2014 user is all exclusively for custom activity mode. Run just has some of the working tables. Output has some of the output tables. However, it's only they're only saved here is if you actually tell it you want to save it. But these are kind of details that most of the average user will not care about.
And then for those questions that are not answered over these time frames, we'll try to accommodate and fill those questions at the end of the presentation, at the end of the webinar, or we're going to send a private message, or we're going to answer them over the webinar by sending a private answer to whoever is asking those questions.
And we'll try to get to the bottom of that question about the installation and missing parameter too.